Okay, guys, I'm Matthew. I'm a software engineer currently working with Marvel Studios in the United Kingdom. I mostly do motion control projects on movie sets. And we've got a pretty exciting panel today. So we'll be talking about the merger between the gaming industry and the film industry, where we're creating really immersive experiences through virtual productions using technologies from the video game industry. We've got an amazing panelist. I'll let them introduce themselves, and then we can get on with the topics. Starting with you, Francis.
Sure. So, hi everyone. My name is Francis Gershi. I am the head of creative and content at Stargate Studios Malta. So, Stargate is a visual effects and film production company. We service clients all the way from Amazon, Netflix, HBO, down to independent film productions. Yes, so myself, my background is screenwriting and direction. But for the 13 years now that I've been working in the industry, I also went through editorial, cinematography, sound design, the works. And 2 years ago, I learned Unreal Engine to add that to my repertoire. And so now at Stargate, I'm bringing real-time and game engine into the current workflow,
Amazing.
but also exploring the potential for creating animated content and IP using such technologies. So.
Amazing. Moving on to Stefan.
My name is Stephen Dullahan, founder of Rupture, virtual production studio here in Malta. And my background is software developer. So about 4 years ago, we were looking at where the market is moving, and we started to build a small, what we didn't know at the time, but what was virtual production with real-time green screen and different camera tracking. And that started off in the garage of the house, and then within two and a half years, we have a large studio in Nashaw, which is offering this technology. So that's me at the minute, because we're in this R&D phase of constantly learning this technology as it's changing every day, and I don't know myself beyond that at the moment.
Nice. Andrei.
Hi, my name is Andrei Evdokimov. I'm a cinematic animation director at the Spirasoft Malta studio. This is the pretty big game development studio with the offices across all around the world with like several hundred artists, something like almost 1,000 artists. We're working on different projects, on a AAA, AA projects, the game projects. And my background is like I spent more than 20 years in the animation industry, shifting from the cinema to TV to music videos to game development, directing, animating, and doing all different stuff. So I work a lot with the Unreal Engine also. So I work with other game engines. And I have like a lot of experience in both industries, so like I'm a good example of synergy between the game and the game development and the movie industry.
So yeah, safe to say we all like our games over here.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Sima, you had an
Hello,
amazing keynote before this, but if you want to introduce yourself again.
Sure. As I mentioned, I'm the co-founder of Recontact Games, and I'm a game producer. We combine cinema and video games into a new art form through pioneering technologies. We are trying to use AR and virtual reality and emerge these new technologies. And actually, I was like an unprofessional film producer because I can say my brother was a film director, and he was like we know that like age of 8, we know that he became a film director, right? So I was investing in his film as we started working with age of 7, age of 8. So right now we transform our indie film studio into the gaming studio in 2015, and we are still working on it. We are still trying. We are explorers.
Amazing, guys. Amazing. We can't not kick off this panel without talking about virtual production. It's a major, major player in the film industry at the moment, and it's just widely used. I've seen firsthand how amazing this technology is. Stephen, maybe you can give our audience a brief description of what virtual production is and how it's making the movie industry more efficient.
Sure. So virtual production is like a very broad term, which effectively pulls real-time filmmaking and computer graphics together. So an example, we use like Unreal Engine, and instead of having, let's say, we go to a beach and we film a scene at the sunset, and it's going, we've got like a few minutes, we're able to go to a studio and emulate the sunset for 24 hours. It's a very simple way of just explaining the power of virtual production, where you have your real-time actors, you've got your scenery, and you've got your lighting, and you can just hold your scene for as long as you want. The other sides of virtual production, beyond like LED wall and green screen, are animation. So when you have, what we find very interesting is when we have a motion capture volume and we bring in performers, the performance capture that you can get in that moment is very nuanced. You're able to direct them in a certain way. But beyond all that, because I don't want to get too much into the performance capture side of it, but when you bring your virtual camera into a pre-recorded session and you follow your actors around and you follow your scene and you can make in-the-moment decisions on how you want something to be, how you want to present, the power is amazing. And we've seen like people who've never even imagined this technology, and you put a virtual camera in their hand, their mind explodes, and what they can get in 1 hour is astounding. So virtual production is like a bridge between the filmmaking and the game world, but it's not really a game specific thing. It just happens to be a game engine that's allowed us to do this technology, and specifically Unreal Engine. So we're all, I would say, maybe fans of that at the moment. Because it's allowed us to enter an industry that hadn't existed this way before.
Exactly. And all in real time.
Exactly.
Because this used to take hours and hours to render.
Exactly.
Yeah. So mentioning virtual production, a lot of production studios are using Unreal Engine and Unity as their go-to technology to do this, to superexpose stuff on top of the scene. I think this seems like a kind of a symbiotic relationship between the two industries, where investments in research and development to push these technologies forward is beneficial to both industries. Sima, I'm not sure what game engine you use at Recontact Game, but
So
I'd like to get your opinion on it.
Sure. We started with Unity, and then right now we are working on our own cinematographic engine, because right now we are in the cinematographic, we are producing cinematographic games almost a decade. So Unity was not easy to build that kind of things that we really wanted. So we built our own engine to make more interactive cinema.
Yeah.
And what happened, the thing is, we can solve problems with the other company, we can solve the other companies' problems with our engine. Actually, we make an agreement with Apple. We teach their new workers with our interactive cinema. So we built like interactive cinema stories, like stories with interactive cinema, and we use our engine, and we transform their educational system into the gaming. So we use that engine for ours, and also we also share with the other companies, solving problems.
Nice, cool.
And also one of the other thing is, the Unreal Engine is getting more popular, right? Right now, if you want to do interactive cinema, they're really eager to learn Unreal Engine. But unfortunately, in Turkey right now, it's very hard to find the talent who's experienced in Unreal Engine. And they're so expensive if they have like a experience on it. But right now, you can see the transformation, because also in Turkey, the people, they started in mobile gaming. They start to develop hyper-casual games. So it's easy to learn Unity. It's easy to enter the gaming industry. But right now, you can see the big transformation from mobile to PC. And also, it requires more tools. So right now, you can see the people, they are trying to learn more Unreal Engine rather than Unity. Yeah. Hopefully, in a couple of years, we will have that experts.
Yeah, amazing. And maybe your game engine will make it into the film industry eventually as well.
Yes.
So let's talk about cinematic techniques from the film industry into the video game industry. I see the rise of games like the Uncharted series and the Last of Us series, where it's basically a cinematic experience, but you're so immersed into it. I think, Andre, given your background in cinematic animation, I think what they're doing is amazing, and it's just getting even better and better. Games like Resident Evil, you're basically experiencing a film, but you're playing it. So it's quite interesting to be having this level of entertainment at this day and age.
I can share my own experience. Like for my 20-something years career in the different industries, like I used to work in games, in movies, in TV, and like every time I'm switching the industry, I'm bringing all my knowledge to the new industry, and I trying to find the ways to implement what I know, what I can, like from the other industry to the new one. And this is not just me.
Yeah.
Everyone doing this. Like you mentioned the cinematic, like story-driven video games, like the God of War or Last of Us. Like they're full of cinematic content. This is like literally the motion pictures inside the games,
Yeah.
like on real time, and the player can interact with the events in the game and make changes to the story and all that stuff. And like if you look at the games like Death Stranding, they have like more than 6 hours of cinematic content inside the game. Not the gameplay, but the movie, like
itself,
6 hour long. And it's
That's just the cinematics, which is
yeah.
insane.
And because of that, it's not just the games taking something from the movie industry and bringing to the audience, like the ways of doing things, like the workflows, the ideology of like compiling the cinematic content, working with the cameras, working with the assets, working with the characters, acting, and everything else. It's like doing the vice versa thing. Like when I used to work on the several VFX heavy movies, we developed this system for creating the digital crowds, and we used a lot of techniques from the game development,
I've
like
read
the
about this.
animation cycles, the state machines, like the logic for the characters, because you need to create like a believable, like a realistic looking crowd, not like just the geo and the textures, but the behavior of the agents. So we stole a lot of ideas from the game development and implemented it into our own product. And we used this like on several movies. We did like a lot of digital crowd, and it's not just the I don't know, dummies standing and the waving. They're moving, they're interacting with each other, they're skating, they're doing like different things, and it helps us a lot, like because we knew how to do this, like because someone had like previous experience in game industry.
Yeah.
The same happening here, in Spirasoft. We're developing another framework, another system to help us speed up and automate the process of creating the cinematic content using Unreal Engine or other real-time engines. It doesn't matter which the final output engine is. It's the way of doing things, because like the workflows and the pipelines, like in cinema, in TV, and in game development are like similar but quite different. Like in cinema, we're working with the shots, with the scenes, with the layouts, with the takes. In game, you're working with the cycles, with the state machines, with the animation sets. And so we're trying to marry these two worlds in one product, because we're creating cinematic content that's cinematic in the game development environment and game development team, game development, everything. So we need to merge this, because if you're trying to create a movie for your game, you need to be like the game developer and the filmmaker at the same time.
Yeah, exactly.
And, and even more, like I had like the previous experience working as DOP on several feature film, not the feature films, animated feature films. So I know how to work with the camera, I know how to do the video edit, and I'm trying to bring this knowledge to the game development, because it's not just the cutscenes, cinematics. It's the cinematic experience even in the game, like a third-person game, first-person game, whatever. It is cinematic experience for the player, and you need to show the events. You need to stage everything in what the player can see and interact with accordingly. So you need to strategically place the points of interest, and this is the part of the filmmaking when you're working with the stage, with the lighting, with the camera angle. You're creating the accents. So
I know some game studios as well are basically just roping in people from the film industry themselves, and actors themselves are getting into this, where you see a lot of Hollywood actors acting in games. You mentioned Death Stranding. Norman Reedus did an amazing job in it, and I think just that itself, having like big names being in your game, just boosts the interest so much. So again, the symbiotic relationship between the two industries is present. So, and it's only getting bigger and bigger. Talking about the same subject, we see a lot of games nowadays being made into movies and series. The Uncharted and Last of Us are really good examples again, but an honorable mention is Netflix's The Witcher, which has seen massive praise and success worldwide. Movie franchises like Star Wars have really successful lineup of games. Would you think, Francis, given your work at Stargate Studios, would you think this is beneficial to both of the industries where there's this kind of crossovers, basically blend into each other and just get fans from both sides together and just continuing to grow the industry?
Yes, so it's definitely the case, you know. So, and it's been happening for many years, you know, even before there was the game film crossover. I mean, we saw it from the novel film crossover, you know, from the graphic novel film crossover, from the play.
Which is also where some video games come from.
Exactly, exactly. So this kind of medium change, but keeping the same IP, has been happening for many years, and this is beneficial for a number of reasons. Number one, if there is source material that already exists, then the creative process to some degree is a little bit easier. It kind of narrows the scope as to what you're creating. Number two, it means an audience exists already. So if you know that there is a fan base, you know, for a book, for a game, for a film, and you buy the rights for, let's say, another form of medium distribution, then number one, the risk of hitting your sales targets drops, because you know that there's already a big audience that will give your project a chance because they like the book, because they like the game. But also, marketing costs go down, because I don't need to explain the world of my story, because people already kind of know what it is. Naturally, there is a downside, that if you have a fantastic game and then they make a film that's absolutely terrible, you can risk damaging your IP somewhat.
Which has happened.
Yes, but on the plus side, yes, it will pull different audiences, because if I love a world, and I'm a gamer, for example, and I don't really watch film, but I love the world of The Witcher, for example, the minute a series comes out, and I'm given an opportunity to jump back into the world and experience something new, then yes, of course, I will watch the series. But I think moving ahead, we're at the cusp of an era, I would say, where the crossover between, I would say mostly game and film, because they are both very audiovisual, they share so many techniques. I have a feeling that even the way content is going to be created in the near future is going to change. You know, there's this idea, you know, that game is game, film is film. It is indeed the case. Distribution is totally different. The way you access the media is different. You know, one is in the cinema, from your TV. The other one is you have your PC, you download an app, it's a program. For me, it feels like when I was a kid, you know, I would go and buy the cartridge for my Sega Mega Drive. That was a game. And when I put the video player in that was a film. But nowadays, you know, we're seeing film consumed at home on PCs. You know, we're seeing games coming to TVs, you know, like with Netflix bringing their whole gaming division into it.
Statistically, it's, you know, video is the most consumed form of entertainment worldwide, and it's only getting bigger and bigger. So this makes, you know, absolute sense.
So everything is overlapping, you know, and then when we look at technology, you know, let's say Unreal Engine now that is servicing both games and film. Let's say you create a virtual production environment for Star Wars. That environment exists inside Unreal Engine, which means you could use it to build a game. So why not, when a producer or an executive producer or distributor is funding a project, not understand how, okay, why not consider making the film and the game at the same time? And then benefiting of all the financial incentives that different industries offer.
Exactly that. And it would save on cost. So if you're building a set, I've seen firsthand. I was part of a lot of projects that use virtual production, even for lighting effects. So we had massive LED walls all around the set, and that helped with lighting. And if you want to reproduce that, rather than having to build all of that set, you just build an LED screen, and there's your set. It's already there. It's already built. So yeah, I do get that. I do get that this is only going to get bigger and bigger. The only drawback of it is, at the moment, I think it's a lot more expensive to do this rather than just build a set and destroy it sometimes. But this is the.
I think there are projects and projects. You
Yeah.
know, there will always be films where virtual production is overly expensive. You know, if it's a film, let's say, set in a very like location-based area that you have easy access to.
Yeah.
You know, and it's a low-budget indie project, go and shoot it there.
Yeah,
if it's
exactly.
a big, you know, science fiction movie, like let's say, you know,
Exactly.
The Mandalorian, where you're going to have visual effects throughout your entire show in similar areas, then yes, it makes sense to amortize your costs shooting in a virtual production environment. So I think that there are projects and projects.
Yeah, I agree. Speaking a bit about movies and games being one and the same, I absolutely agree with you that I think in the future it's going to be indistinguishable. I played the Matrix Unreal Engine demo, and
Yeah.
I think that was absolutely amazing. It's, you know, as close as it can get.
Yes.
And I think Matrix is a really good example of, you know, video games being indistinguishable from the actual thing, because
Yes.
people couldn't tell which Keanu Reeves was the real one when they superimposed them like right next to each other, and yeah, it's just absolutely amazing.
Yes.
Let's talk about interactive movies and what Netflix is doing with them. I'd like to get maybe all of your opinions. Like, what do you think about interactive movies and actually having gamification on the movies themselves? Maybe Simai can.
Yeah, you mentioned Netflix, so we should mention the Bandersnatch, you know. But it's so primitive. It's always like a right choice or left choice.
Exactly,
But
that's what I'm getting.
interactive cinema is not
It's
that, right? It's beyond that. Because we have like amazing game techniques, game
Exactly.
dynamics. We need to like emerge with this game techniques with the cinema. So that's why I'm really excited about it. I don't get excited about the right choice or left choice. So when we talk about Netflix, let's do it something more. Let's emerge that two disciplines. But they weren't so excited because they told us that our audiences are so lazy. We don't want to confuse them. So that's the reason why they picked Bandersnatch style interactive cinema. So, but the thing is, you also mentioned about Death Stranding, the Hideo Kojima's vision, right?
Yeah.
I love the quote. It says that the gaming is like making buildings during the earthquake, right? Because the technology is rapidly changing, and you are trying to. Because also it takes time. Like sometimes it takes like 4 years, and you need to keep working on that technique. So and. Gaming is very tough. Film industry is very tough. When you combine these two industries, it's getting more tougher, but it's getting more excitement. It's also rise the excitement. Yeah.
Talking about talent, would you guys say it's hard to find talent to work on virtual production stuff? Do you have to look into the film industry to find talent, or do you get video game developers to do virtual production? I'm actually not that savvy into it. I'd like to get your opinion, maybe, Stephen.
Well, when we, funnily enough, when we were starting out, we couldn't really find anybody.
I would imagine, because I kind of have a similar issue at my job.
So
So.
the only people that we knew on the island that were in the same wheelhouse was Stargate and Francis. And one of the things that you do when you're trying to come up with an idea is not go tell the big guy, right?
As you do.
So we were quietly all working on our own wee things. When we started to realize that what was in a garage was either, you know, go big or go home kind of time, it was the biggest question that we had as when founding the company was, who's doing this with us, right? Because this is not like one person. This is not this is a team of people. So what we did was because I had a previous company with software development, I'd met like a lot of interesting people over the years. And I started to reach out to some to see, like, you know, you have interests in this. And I think if I was to nudge you to what's coming, I think you'd understand it.
Yeah.
And there was like a little bit of resistance now and then because there's nothing to show people as to what it is you're talking about.
And
so
when something's really new, it's kind of hard for people to, you know, be confident about it.
That's it. So once we started to put like, you know, a PC together and, you know, live green, like a projector with our LED, right?
Yeah.
You know, and they start to see, oh, but now I can tell a story. Now I can do this. Oh, it's real time. And all of these things have to come together. It was like, right, now you understand it. Who else do we need?
I think
right?
once they see it working and
That's
they
it.
see how much benefit there is to it, like when the first time I saw an LED wall, I was like, "There's no way that's in real time." And they say, "Yeah, look at the
Yeah.
moon," and they just move the moon. It's like,
Yeah.
this is amazing.
And
This
then
is absolutely amazing.
for other talent, like Unreal Engine, as ever, it's not like we're overrun with people who know
No.
it.
No.
And that's the fault of no one. It's just one of these things that's happening. Now, I understand the educational systems are trying to catch up now and start to build that up, and we ourselves are setting up courses, and other studios are setting up courses. We're trying to create the talent because, like, people have an interest in playing games. People have, like filmmakers, they watch films, they want to be a filmmaker. People play games, they want to be a game. And then you have a crossover of people who want to build games or game worlds for film. So it's like finding that vertical. No, it's exciting.
Yeah. So anybody watching?
Yeah, I have a couple of words about the education with the Unreal Engine, real-time technologies, and everything else. Like I was a mentor in the Epic Games Animation Fellowship. Like it was just ended like a couple of weeks ago. So we had like more than 100 students, and like all around Europe, like lots of people, and most of these artists are like the professionals, the artists with the lots of experience, with the background of like a AAA games, Hollywood movies, and everything else. But they were from the movie industry, and they trying to jump to the train. They trying to catch up with the new technologies, with the real-time technologies, with the virtual production, with the Unreal Engine usage. Not like
so you'd say the video game industry is ahead of
they're not all of them trying to switch the industry. They're trying to find out something new that they can bring to the movie production. Like they're working with Unreal Engine for the previews, for the virtual production, for the LED panels and everything else. So they're proficient in their industry, they're proficient in their profession, and they're trying to learn how to use the new technology, new tech, new ways of doing things, like using the Unreal Engine. And quite fascinating how many people interested in this.
Which is a good thing.
Yeah, and you need to learn, you need to teach. If you want to find like the unicorn over the rainbow, you won't find that kind of specialist. Probably you will find something in the mid-level or maybe senior level, but if you have like a high standard, you need to teach these specialists to survive in your specific environment, using your specific tools, your workflows and everything else. So it's constant learning, constant learning.
Exactly. We could sit here and talk for hours and hours about this subject because it's so interesting, but unfortunately our time is up. I'd like to thank the panelists and you guys for sitting here and watching. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.